Hey guys, welcome to our Orlando, the center of the Metaverse panel. Is that good sound there? Good, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming. And my name is Joel Martin. I'm originally from South Florida. I actually went to middle school not too far from here at Nautilus, and I went to Beach High. So I'm a local Miamian, and I ended up moving to Orlando about 10 years ago. It's really not my story, but I wanted to start with that. And one of the first people I met when I got there was Kyle Morrand and the team at 302 Interactive. And I did not have a background in technology, but I immediately became immersed into video games and mobile development. And I joined the board of a company called ViewStub, and I became an advisor to Code Firm, and all these amazing opportunities started opening up for me that I didn't find in Miami because it was a totally different world. And I find myself all of a sudden in the center of the metaverse. So I want to introduce two very important people to Orlando right now. Justin Braun, who's the director for the Orlando Economic Partnership. They're bringing a lot of companies and promoting all this innovation in Orlando. And Kyle Morrand, the CEO of 302 Interactive. And I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself. Justin, take it away.
Thanks, Joel. Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Braun. I am from the Orlando Economic Partnership, and I oversee marketing communications there. A little bit about myself is I'm a musician. I'm a percussionist. I went to school for percussion performance. I still play in a quasi-regional band. But I found myself in the entrepreneurial scene in Orlando early on because I founded a foodtrepreneurial venture called Winter Park Seltzer Company. I make small batch artisan sparkling water on Monday nights. It's just part of who I am. Because I got tired of buying sparkling water. I got tired of all of the different brands. I wanted my own. And a buddy of mine wanted to recreate Diet Coke because he was addicted to Diet Coke and wanted to figure out how to make it. So we put our heads together and we started this small soda manufacturer. And that got me immersed into the entrepreneurial scene in Orlando, which is very welcoming.
You went to IZEA, right?
I worked at IZEA.
IZEA, yes.
Yeah. So I got an MBA. I worked for a number of startups. I worked for Active Engage, which is live chat for car dealerships. I worked for IZEA, which is an influencer marketing, marketplace, and SaaS company. And then found myself at the partnership because I love Orlando so much. I see its potential. I know all of the cool things that are happening there, and I just want to spread the word about it. And that's what I get to do for a living. And that's how I met Kyle.
All right, Kyle, come on.
Yeah, so I'm Kyle Morrand, CEO of 302 Interactive. 302 is a relatively new company, I suppose. We've been around for 8 years, but been operating as a software development company doing AR and VR development for the last 4 years. But really for myself and getting into the local community for Orlando, I was born and raised here in Miami, grew up in Pembroke Pines, and went to Disney like everybody else, probably once, twice a year for pretty much my whole childhood.
That's the American experience.
Yeah, the normal Florida experience, and learned a lot about not just the wonders of Disney and all of that, but a lot of that technology, which I've just been a technology fan forever, was also made in Orlando. And so when I had to choose a college, I chose UCF. When I was in UCF, I chose computer engineering and game development. That turned into having this crazy idea of starting a game studio, and then that game studio turned from one person to now I think we're 16 people. So as we've grown over the last 8 years as an organization, really have been immersed in the Orlando scene, the Orlando tech community, and as software developers and really game developers and now metaverse developers, we've had a lot of experience working with companies in Orlando that you wouldn't expect are interested in doing games and metaverse technology. We've worked with healthcare companies, education companies, we've worked with the local government.
DOD.
Worked on the DOD side. I've worked like 3 years on the Navy projects, worked with Universal Studios, and for us as a company, it sounds like a lot of different industries you're tapping into, but it all ends up being the same technologies. For us, we've really seen a lot of growth just being in Orlando, and a lot of the core concepts of the metaverse that people are trying to push forward have already been around in Orlando for the last 10 years, which is where I think the city's been pushing now, that we really are a center for what the metaverse is supposed to be from a
Well,
technology
that was my
stance
next question.
and communities.
Why Orlando? Why is there so much happening in Orlando? I mean, and we left a few things: the Orlando Tech Council, the Orlando Game Space, where we're both actively involved. So why Orlando? Maybe we can bring it
Sure.
back to Justin here.
You left out the Central Florida VR
Oh,
AR
yes, of
Association,
course,
the
yeah.
largest chapter in the country.
At UCF, right?
Yes, absolutely. So why Orlando? I'm going to use the clicker now.
Our video.
Well,
This
we're
is good. This is
not
pretty
yet.
good.
But let me just give a little backstory here. So back in the 1950s and 60s, Martin Marietta moved to the Orlando region to help fuel America's space race. And in doing so, they created the University of Central Florida to train the engineers to create the rockets. Not soon afterward, Disney came to the Orlando region and brought thousands of creatives to the region. And that collision between creative experiential entertainment and defense technology created an innovation ecosystem that thrives to this day because it created a cottage industry to support both, while pushing the boundaries of what technology could be and what's possible, both for entertainment, both for defense, and that's why we're the center of the metaverse. So the Meta Center is being developed in Orlando. Proof points of that are we have $6 billion annually of marketing, simulation, and training contracts just coming from the Department of Defense and the 5 branches of the military. We have the training command centers of all 5 branches of the military, and they see the future of digital technology and 3D simulation, and they're using that to train their technicians, their soldiers, so they know what they're doing before they get in the field, so that it's second nature. And there's all of this industry supporting the experiential entertainment of Disney and then of Universal and all of the entertainment companies that call the region home. And all of that combines into a great place to start a business, a great place to scale a business, a welcoming, collaborative environment where if you have a good idea and you show up, there are people there ready to help you make that a reality. There are people that ready to buy it and to bring it to life. So why Orlando? Orlando is an epicenter for AR, VR, IoT, and AI development. Miami is an epicenter for NFT and blockchain development. Together, we make up a mega region that is the
I like that
center.
term, mega region.
Mega region. Once we connect Brightline trains from Miami to Orlando, we are a mega region. Once that connects to Tampa, we are the largest metro outside of California.
And I absolutely love Brightline. I don't know if there's anybody here from Brightline. We got our Swiftmile stations there. Love you guys. Just to plug myself. Good.
So the building blocks of the metaverse are being developed in this mega region. We're home to EA Sports. We're home to Iron Galaxy. We're home to 302 Interactive. We have
Red 6?
We have Red 6. We have AR, VR companies that are doing things that no one's even thought of yet. So what is the metaverse? It is these layers of technology: Miami, blockchain, digital currency; Orlando, AR, VR, artificial intelligence, gaming, IoT, 3D reconstruction. And here's a little explainer about it.
Welcome to Orlando, the home of Imagineers, game developers, and tech wizards. With a foundation in creating experiences that are both authentic and incredible, and a wealth of talent in artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and IoT technology, Orlando is building the unbelievably real.
Orlando is the metacenter of the metaverse. We've been building toward this designation for the last several decades. The culmination of our expansive multi-billion-dollar VR/AR development, coupled with the advancements we've made in 3D simulation and gaming, have made Orlando the largest contributor to the building blocks of the metaverse. Here in Orlando, we have the talent, the companies, the desire, and the ambition to push the boundaries of Web 3.0.
This part of Florida has become a Web3 and Metaverse innovation corridor. Orlando has become a hotbed for talent and development due to its concentration of universities specializing in gaming and 3D. The large-scale work being done in modeling, simulation, and training, with a foundation in creating experiences that are both authentic and fantastical, and a wealth of talent in AI, VR, AR, world building, and IoT, Orlando is the Metacenter.
So 2 points I want to emphasize that were part of that video. One is talent. Why are all these companies building metaverse tangential, adjacent technologies in our region? And the answer to that is talent. We have the University of Central Florida, which has the largest concentration of AR/VR researchers and projects in the country. We have FIEA that is training the next generation of game developers. We have Full Sail University. We have 550,000 college undergraduates within 100 miles of downtown Orlando that companies are coming here to tap into. High-skilled, high-tech workforce. The other one is that 3D reconstruction aspect. Something that we haven't touched on is the organization I work for, the Orlando Economic Partnership, has partnered with game developer or game engine platform Unity to develop the world's first regional digital twin of 800 square miles of the Orlando region. And so we'll be able to showcase all there is in our region to someone visiting, considering relocating here without having to drive for hours on end. Phase one of this is going to be displayed in an innovative marketing center with some holographic technology to really bring it to life. Phase two is we're going to put this in the metaverse, and you'll be able to access the digital twin from VR goggles no matter where you are in the country. And so that's really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Maybe I can bring it back to Kyle for a second. Yeah. Kyle, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more about the digital twin, how that affects everything in daily life. As you know, I'm on the board of New Eyes. I advise the team, and I see all these applications from people leaving the house, going into the virtual permit application department, or training on how to do emergency rescue inside a building, inside the actual building, not looking at maps before the emergency. So maybe you can give me some more, or give the audience some more applications of what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of folks with the metaverse, and especially with its background being in gaming, there's a lot of notion of it's just a bunch of excitement and entertainment. It's just the next level of storytelling, and it is, and it's a great medium for entertainment. But there's a lot of practical applications that are being pushed forward with these technologies. I think to the digital twin component, the front layer of that is marketing, right? It's getting people introduced to, hey, this is the city of Orlando. This is what's in our region. This is what's going on. But the concept of the twin and the data that's driven within that gives developers access to creating solutions that you wouldn't be able to create for, let's say, transportation, or if we're trying to redesign how we want to do energy efficiencies. We're able to create solutions for both practical use and for training purposes using this data, and having that data be updated by the city in real time allows that to be not just accessible for us, but also to be live data that we're able to keep persisting a good training solution, or keep persisting a good solution for any of these other applications. So
transportation,
transportation,
planning.
Energy. Like there's such a variety of solutions that we're able to build just from that core bit of data that we have access to. And I think that's really like a large aspect of the idea with the metaverse and this sort of spatial computing is you want to be able to create more practical use of what we already know about the real world and bring that to a level that can be manipulated, can be used for construction, for real estate purposes, and really build upon that without the cost of doing it in the physical world.
Yeah, grid expansion for utility companies, new transit routes for cities. We'll be able to model all of these in a digital platform before deploying anything in the street.
Yeah.
It's going to reconceptualize economic development for us, but it's going to really create a new opportunity for partners and companies throughout our region to test new ideas, run scenarios in a real-world digital environment.
All right. Listen, I live there, and every day, every time I go to one of these meetings, I learn something new, I meet somebody new. There's so much investment coming into Orlando, and a lot of it is companies here in Miami, which they're finding the talent in Orlando, which I love. What is driving that besides all this? I mean, is it any major company besides EA Sports or Disney? Like, is there something happening right now that's attracting this? I mean, I see Tavistock promoting. I see with like Nona and it's real estate developers that are driving some of this. But what else is happening that maybe the audience might benefit from knowing?
I think like Justin said, it's the talent, right? Like we have like I think 4 of the top 10 schools in game development, and that game development talent has now translated towards simulation and training and metaverse solutions. And like just said, there's thousands of developers that are not only getting their first or second job in Orlando, but then they're going off and spinning off, like myself, into making their own companies, into joining larger companies that are wanting to do startups. And there's this large community effort of just constantly looking towards how can we use this technology that we know so well and that we've built here and use that for good purposes out with the rest of our community. Orlando has this very community-driven approach to being a city in the first place. It's something that I've enjoyed being there for the last 12 years. And that effort of how to take technology and apply it towards different areas of our region has just been a part of the community since I think it's been there. And now it's just constantly expanding on.
What about Spaceport? So we have all the stuff with
They
SpaceX.
describe the Orlando region as the only quintimodal hub in the country. We have air, rail, sea, space.
We have the new vertical takeoff airport, right?
Yeah,
It's being
yeah.
constructed.
eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff. A company called Lilium recently announced their first U.S. vertiport in a city called Lake Nona, part of the city of Orlando.
And there's some other great companies here, like Beep, which is exhibiting over here on the right. They're from Orlando as well. They do the autonomous buses in Lake Nona. Just had to plug them. They came all the way down. So this driver, this economic driver, I mean, it's crossing over from defense, space industry. We have SpaceX. We have theme parks. We have, you've worked with Universal. You've helped design some of their. Am I allowed to say that? Okay, cool. Yeah, he helped design the new Mario Kart. He's done some great, amazing ride design. But where does it go from here? What's next for Orlando? What can we share with the audience? Where are we taking this to the next level?
Well, to help shape and share with the world what the Meta Center is, we hired Kathy Hackle, brought her on board on our team. She's the godmother of the Metaverse. She really sees the vision here and is helping create new avenues for companies to grow, scale, and succeed in our region because of this ecosystem that's been here for decades. And so we welcome any company that's interested in getting connected to other companies in the space, really looking for new customers, looking for talent, looking for incentives to come. Like, all of these are available.
Wait, I don't think we defined what the Metaverse is. Kyle, maybe you can help us with that. What is the Metaverse? I'm a local Miami business. I read about it. I don't know what it is. How do I get involved?
Yeah, it's not a video game. Yeah. That's for one. I usually equate it to 3D internet. It's taking the ideas of real-time 3D concepts that you have in video games, but bringing that online into more of an accessible environment for either consumers or for businesses and having more practical uses for it.
So like an early Matrix?
Maybe, yeah, an early Matrix, without all the robot craziness.
No end of the world. It's more like I got to get my permits and
Right.
maybe buy a car online. Okay,
Yeah.
Good. All right, so I guess that kind of describes it to people. So what about day-to-day applications? I mean, what are some of the companies in Orlando working on that can make? Oh, wait, we got some of them up there. Oh, good.
A really cool company that I just became acquainted with this year called New Eyes is developing AR technology glasses that help the visually impaired. It has screen reader capabilities. It has all different types of zoom capabilities for all different kinds of eye impairments. But it can also help people see and experience all kinds of things in real time that were never possible before. Another company called Red 6 is really cool. They are the nation's leader in real-time AR in-flight simulation. So fighter pilots go up with their special helmet on, and they can see a phantom opponent and maneuver and dogfight with them while flying. Without them really being there. And so that is a completely game changer for the Air Force.
I see you got Steamroller up there. They do all the animation for Fortnite, and they're doing some cool projects, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Unity. You guys work closely with Unity.
Yeah, we've
talk
been
about
using
their center.
Unity for anybody that doesn't know. Unity is a game development engine, so it's the equivalent of like HTML, but for games. It's what you use to make a game. And they've expanded from being a company out in California just helping local game developers to now being this massive publicly traded company. They've got offices in Orlando and a few other areas all over the world. But they've taken their 3D technology and applied it to, again, healthcare and education and simulation and training. That's their focus in Orlando. They do automotive over in Detroit. And as a company, they've been really good about collaborating with their developers, understanding that the development teams and studios locally are their partners, and they have to work with them effectively to be able to scale the solutions that they're creating. And it's been wonderful to kind of work with them and see them grow as a technology, but now to see them also be giving back to the community and growing with us as well.
Very cool. So we have a few minutes left. Is there anything that's happening in the metaverse that we should maybe discuss? Like something exciting in Orlando that we left out?
Perhaps one of the more exciting elements in recent history for Orlando, the Metaverse, and the Meta Center, the Central Florida AR/VR Association, mentioned before, held its first meeting within the Metaverse on the Engage platform. And you could attend through desktop, you could attend through mobile, you could attend through immersive 3D goggles. And it was really the first real organizational meeting of many partners in one space, in one time, in real time, in a digital environment. We're currently building a building within the metaverse, within the digital twin of Orlando, that is the Meta Center. And it will be a place where anyone can come and use one of the rooms and hold meetings, hold presentations, network in a virtual environment. And
I think that's pretty cool because society as a whole just got used to doing video chat in the last 10 years, right? Like on your phone and Zoom. All of us, everybody in this room has lived on Google, and Zoom and WebEx and Teams for the last 2 years. And now we have to transition to something else where we put on goggles and walk around and
even
environment.
through a desktop environment.
Yeah.
It was very immersive. You create your avatar, you interact with people, you can clap, make hand gestures. There was a full panel presentation with some of the top developers within the metaverse space, just making a tiger appear, bringing stacks of virtual bottles of beer and building a beer tower, putting a Tyrannosaurus Rex outside the windows of the building. Not only is there engagement in in-person networking through a virtual environment, but there's also entertainment and levity and making it a full experience that you can enjoy.
I think the other area that I'm excited about, at least for the next year or two, is seeing a lot of these solutions coming to more so the blue-collar worker side of the industries. You're seeing a lot of problems being solved now, yes, on the technology side for knowledge workers, and that's great, but there's a lot of what we call just 3D problems in construction, in transportation, in shipping, right? We have this whole shipping problem that we're going through right now, and a lot of these technologies can help solve issues for blue-collar workers. Like you mentioned with New Eyes as an example, they're making it accessible for Zoom, but hands-free, out in the field. You need low internet to do it, and you can work on your whatever it is machinery that you're working on, be able to do the training and keep connected with your workforce. So a lot of the advantages that you have in corporate kind of office space of Zoom and all of these type of collaborative meetings, we're now bringing out into the real world, into the field, and making that more accessible as well, which is really powerful.
Would you say the metaverse is just starting out testing the waters for commerce? I mean, is this the where we were with the e-commerce 20 years ago or 30 years ago?
Commerce is I feel like folks in Miami here probably know more on the blockchain side. The blockchain and NFT, I'll say hype of the last 18 months, I think sparked a lot of ideas and creativity around e-commerce, how we can use 3D content in the AR/VR space to do visualization, but then how we can create a better customer experience from a brand loyalty perspective or even just from a peer-to-peer communications and commerce perspective. I think there's a lot of experimentation still happening. I think there's a lot to figure out. A lot of these startups are coming on, but at the same time, 2 days ago, Starbucks just announced and launched their whole NFT campaign that they're doing with their rewards program, and they're going all into it. So it's not just an experiment. It's not this thing in the corner that's happening. One of the biggest brands on the planet is investing, doubling down into this technology because they see the value that it creates, not just for their company, but for their customers as well. So there's a lot to come, I think, on the e-commerce side, which I know you're a big fan of.
It's all part of enhancing the customer journey. If you can create a good customer experience before they even step through the door to buy it, you've established brand loyalty. You've established something that you couldn't before. I remember reading about Gucci opening up the first Gucci store within the Roblox platform. Who would have thought that would ever be something a brand would want to do in the first place? Right. It's about being where the customers are. And
I just saw the Morgan & Morgan commercial for them being in the Metaverse. I thought that was hilarious. Not that we need to promote that. I see some nods there, but it's funny. Who is going to be first in this space, right? Yeah. Is it going to make a difference? So I see we have a couple of minutes left here. Do you guys have any last thoughts? Maybe we can open it up to questions.
Questions.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question in the audience. There we go. I don't know if...
Okay.
Here, I'll come over.
There you go.
Hi. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hi, I live in Orlando, Pete Murray, and I'm actually doing some work with the city of Orlando, and they're having I don't know if you guys are part of it, they're having a big meeting on digital twins at City Hall October 5th, and it's, I don't know how it all comes together, but it's are you guys part of that?
Yeah, that's actually the reveal of the Orlando Regional Digital Twin.
Oh.
So if anyone's in the Orlando region, I think it was just rescheduled to the 4th, but October 4th and 5th, there will be an event as well. We invite you to come to the Regional Marketing Center and experience what a regional digital twin looks like, feels like, how it works.
Well, I'm doing a lot of fundraising for some of the startups I'm involved with. I mean, would you say your organization is a good place to go to meet VCs and investors and people interested in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. The Orlando Tech Council is a core component of who we are, and it's a great place to network, to meet venture capitalists, to meet customers, to meet collaborators, and be part of that community for which our region is known.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Oh, here we go. Love the glasses.
Cool glasses.
Thank you. So I have a question about kind of the adoption of the metaverse. Right now, it seems to be, at this point in time, still a very abstract, kind of nebulous concept that is being defined as developers are kind of getting more familiar with the technology. Do you think, or do you have any insight into what would be a catalyst for very practical mass adoption of metaverse technologies, if that's going to be a software development or a hardware development or both? What kind of infrastructure needs to be in place to have mass adoption of the metaverse?
Yes. There's a lot, and I think that comes to like the layers of the metaverse, if that's fair to say. When it comes to blockchain, as an example, blockchain is a very software-focused ecosystem, but a couple of years ago, it wasn't very accessible, right? All this concept of wallet and decentralization wasn't very accessible for someone that's just used to using their mobile phone. But as developers, and I'm a big designer, focusing on the user experience design and getting it to be as accessible as possible, even if you're sacrificing some of the core tech that you need to do, is far more important so that you're reaching your customer where they are today rather than trying to force them into some new environment that they're not used to. To take somebody that's used to being on their mobile phone and tell them you have to access this in VR, you're not going to get them to do it. On the inverse side, for virtual reality, augmented reality, a lot of this like 3D immersive experiences, which is a lot of what we build, hardware is a big aspect to that. The accessibility of that hardware, the cost of that hardware is a big challenge. I know organizations like Advent Health and the Orange County Public Schools has tried to do campaigns around pushing VR in their organizations, but these headsets are not only expensive, they take lots of maintenance and upkeep, and the technology changes every 2 years, and so the barrier of hardware and the lack of common hardware, like we have common computers today, is still a big barrier for us, but there are low effort ways of either cheaper technology focuses or making it more multimodal, so having content that works on the web, on desktop, and in VR, and making sure it works in multiple platforms allows for folks to have more accessibility, and then their power users to say, I do want to do this in VR and still not leave out other users as well. So
I also think it comes with the tipping point will come with a generational shift because today's kids are growing up with this technology. We grew up with the internet, and it seems ubiquitous today. But as these kids grow up, they're so used to it. It's ingrained into who they are, how they consume entertainment. I know kids today that meet up with their friends in virtual environments just to hang out, sitting in their living room with the goggles on, just hanging out with their friends in a virtual environment. So that, as that becomes more common.
People, I would never have seen people chasing Pokemon 30 years ago, right? And now, like, oh, yeah, he's hunting some AR characters in the game. Like, that's normal now.
Right.
I mean, the same way Zoom became normal during the pandemic, and now they're mobile centric. So is that a good, I mean, would the metaverse work both, you're thinking mobile, not just for VR for now?
Absolutely. And I think normal is a really important word. To try to get somebody, and as a developer, I'm privy to this, trying to get somebody to do something abnormal, it's just not fair to them as a user. You have to understand what's normal for them and lean hard into that. And to Justin's point on the new generations that are coming, they're used to tablet 3D game experiences that they're going in and playing with their friends and doing that. When you take them out of that environment and then force them into a black and white 2D screen, they're going to be pissed. They're going to be annoyed. They're going to be frustrated. The same goes with smart home technologies for AI. Kids are used to talking to Google Home and to Alexa and having that communication. When you take that away from them when they go to school, they're going to be frustrated. They're going to have a lot of friction, whereas that's now their normal. Bring that into their environments in strong ways, and you'll create a proper experience for them.
I mean, it's just a generation thing. The babies now know how to scroll left.
My baby sister taps on the TV all the time. It's crazy.
It's and I think that's the next gen. I feel like what's old is new again. I mean, I'm giving away my age here, but I started with a Power Glove for the NES. I don't know if anybody remembers that. And now I'm going into meetings and people are putting on gloves to touch things inside the metaverse. Any other questions? We got some great guys up here. No, nothing. Oh, there we go.
I'm on a panel tomorrow about the 24-hour city and the nighttime economy, and a concern that's surfaced in the nighttime advocacy world for nightlife and social interactions is a survey that came out that said that 80% of the people that are customers of the metaverse are more comfortable in the metaverse than they are in real life. What jeopardy does that pose to the whole hospitality nightlife? You just mentioned people meeting up online.
Instead of in person.
Is nightlife dead?
Nightlife is not dead. There will always be a social aspect, whether that is nightlife in a virtual world or nightlife in person. We are social beings. But there's also that physical in-person interaction that we all crave. We saw that during the pandemic, how much demand roared back after we had been isolated for so long. And we're still experiencing that. If it does prove that people are more comfortable in a virtual environment, perhaps there's a virtual environment in a physical space. Bring the metaverse into the nightlife aspect rather than put the nightlife aspect into the metaverse.
We have the Orlando downtown economic team that promotes nightlife. And I'm a little biased here. Let me go back to that because I do the charging stations. And in Miami, what we see with the bike charging stations in downtown is that the food delivery people are using them, and they come out at night. They're not out. I mean, it's funny, especially in Orlando at night. If you order food when there's a convention like HIMSS or IAPA, that food's going to take 2 hours to get to your hotel if it's being delivered in a car. But if you deliver on an e-bike, it's going to get there rather quickly. So there's a nightlife economy that's happening with food delivery people that are not using Ubers or Lyfts or any of these vehicles to deliver the food. They're delivering on micromobility. So that's a whole other aspect that I didn't know existed until I got into micromobility. I mean, at 2 a.m., those are the guys delivering the food on e-bikes. So it's interesting to see how that's evolving. I don't know if we can deliver food in the metaverse yet, but that would be cool.
We've also seen the rise in popularity of silent discos, which I see as quasi-metaverse. Yeah, you're isolated within your headphones. You take them off, there's nothing going on.
Different colors, different soundtracks.
Exactly. So I see an extension of adding an immersive visual element to that as just the natural progression.
I say I would complement that with almost the opposite as well. From a technology stance, as we lean and heavier into digital experiences in our daily lives, there's a lot of advantage from a nightlife and hospitality perspective of creating spaces to disconnect altogether as well, and creating these new opportunities where I don't have to engage with my smartphone and do all of these things and touch on different technologies and all that. I do that at work all day. Now I want to go and do something more natural. I want to experience the natural world a little bit more. I want to go. There's a lot of, I think, folks, at least in our generation now, are going out to camping more. They're going out on hiking trails more. All of these areas that are just getting back out into nature because we are so immersed daily in our lives and our work from technology. So while it creates, honestly, a strong competition to hospitality, and we see that even in Orlando, it also creates a new opportunity to get people back out into a different area of the real world rather than bringing them into physical spaces.
You just touched on something. So maybe it's more of an altered carbon or like the Blade Runner future where you have the smart glasses and you can see ads, but you can only see them because you have the smart glasses on. Did you see that coming in? I mean, are we going to see programmatic advertising hitting in the real world with smart glasses?
I think we're already seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, well, they're QR code enabled or they see a symbol, but how far away are we from that Blade Runner world of 24-hour advertising everywhere in the real world, but in the metaverse as you walk around?
Right. I think, like you said, I think we're there. Personalized ads are like a huge aspect of how gaming works, and then now how these 3D technologies work. I think it all just comes down to user experience, making sure that you understand the audience that is using this technology now, and then targeting those ads effectively so you're not
intrinsic advertising hitting them, like, you know, you can't have a Coca-Cola ad during a medieval war game.
Right.
Okay.
And a good way to think about the metaverse and these 3D experiences and environments, it's just another location. And if you strategize yourself as this area is a location, Roblox is a location, Science Space is a location, you can understand the audience of that location and then advertise to them effectively. You wouldn't advertise beaches to somebody out in the Midwest. That's just not fair. They don't care about the beaches in the Midwest. But if you understand the audience, then you know what to curate that content towards. So don't see it so much as like a medium, more as a location, and understand the audience in that location that's already there.
Any last thoughts? We got 20 seconds here. Oh, ma'am. Here, hold on. Bruce Willis, yes, that's a good movie. I actually like that's the robot.
I've
cyborgs.
seen it.
Or,
It's
in the few seconds that we have, the technologist argument for like the digital divide seems to be more technology, at least from the past that I've seen. But my sense of it as a very pragmatist seems to be more technology just increases the digital divide, especially coming from economic disparity. So given the beginnings of the metaverse, what are your thoughts, either through a public-private partnership or as a coming from the business technology point of view, to try to address that from early on so that we don't try to add on later on and so on? In the 20 seconds that we have.
Gotcha. So I believe I heard the question correctly, is how can we address economic and social mobility, economic disparity through metaverse technology? And I think the answer to that is education and accessibility, and making sure that anyone, no matter who they are, has access to the opportunities, the capabilities, and the knowledge they need in order to take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Doing that through public education, ensuring this technology is available through public education, ensuring this technology is available through our social services networks, through our nonprofits, and really getting it out into the community and exposing it to, or making sure children are exposed to it, and that doesn't sound right, but early on in their education. And so it becomes ubiquitous, so it becomes second nature. And the more they become familiar with it, the more opportunity they'll see to apply that sort of knowledge, that sort of skill set.
Yeah, I'll say from personal experience, when it came to the internet coming online, I was a little kid. My mom is now an IT director, and she does a lot of education around internet technology. But in the 90s and 2000s, she did a lot of internet safety workshops, taught parents how to teach their kids on how to get online, and made that a comfortable experience. And for myself, I I grew up on the internet. I had an email before I knew how to write my name. And growing up in that environment, being exposed to it early was really important for me as a kid. But for my mom, being a little bit older as an adult, she taking the time to understand what I was doing as a kid, understanding the technology I was wanting to get into, learning that with me, adopting it, and then sharing it with her friends just made her better, not just at her job, but at understanding the environment altogether. And I think the same trend has to happen with this metaverse technology. Parents, not just give your kids Roblox, but understand it, get into it, understand what's going on with it, understand how that might translate back to your work, talk about it, and as new technologies kind of come online, just be open to exploring it. Things are going to come and go. We're going to lose technologies along the way. That's okay, but just be open to the trend of these technologies coming online, and we'll have better accessibility for that digital divide.
There's also applications for this technology through rapid credentialing and skills-based training. Rather than requiring people to get a college degree to work kinds of jobs that require nuanced skills, whether that be in manufacturing or in service or in various industries, they can get those credentials, they can get those skills through these devices or using these devices, and that can create whole new career pathways for them. Whereas previously they were stuck in low-income, low-wage service jobs, they could use this technology to learn a skill, to learn a trade, and then find new careers that are high-paying and open up new pathways to opportunity.
Gentlemen, I think you've done an amazing job. Thank you so much for having me as part of your ecosystem and the community in Orlando, and and thank you, the audience, for coming to our little panel today. If you have any questions, we'll be around.
Thank you, everybody.